outcome when rolling 2 dice, assuming that you're adding them. Which, again, going back to last week when I really wanted to teach us a board game, but we couldn't because we hadn't made it through what we wanted to. Guys, if we can go at the pace that we want to, I really want to do more fun stuff with us. Also, are we trying a different seating chart? Because sometimes this helps us work better. Just get a little change in what's going on. So, guys, I keep begging you to just give me some feedback of what we have learned and not by trying the Khan Academy stuff so that I can see what you got right and wrong. Everyone who tried this problem got it wrong, which tells me we should probably talk about it together in class, but I want to give you the chance to chat with each other first because only about half of us have tried this assignment so far. And this one's from last week. We had a couple things from last week to go over, and we've got some new stuff to go over, and then my hope is that we got time to let you work on Khan and have us check Khan. Carefully read up here what we have and discuss with your partner what you think this means, where they're giving us the equation matched to the situation. What do you think this 1.2 tells us? So go ahead, read on your own, and start chatting with each other. Feel bad for Fred. Read the problem. Why's your hand up? You're supposed to talk with partners. I'm not your partner.
Would Kyle, Camper, and Caleb McGill please report to the very office? Would Kyle, Camper, and Caleb McGill to the very office, please?
If you don't have a pencil yet, well, first off, I'm confused, but let's try to draw a little picture for this. So, what's important information? Major, tell me one thing important here that would maybe be worth highlighting. 3.4 meters what? I think you're mixing up some different pieces of what you read. If you start right here reading 3.4, it's 3.4 meters below. Careful, I think you're mixing some things up. So if we go to draw a picture, grab your pencil, and we make a ground level. What number is ground level? 0, right? That's what we refer to as 0. So a basement, if we're going to draw a basement, we're going to draw that above or below ground? Below, right? So we've got our basement down here. And then 3.4 below ground level. How can I draw, where is that going to go? How can I draw that? Yeah, So does that mean this water is 3.4 meters deep? No, that 3.4 is telling us from ground level, this is 3.4. So now we're at negative 3.4 when we compare to ground level. So we don't really know, at least from that first part of the problem, we don't really know how deep the water is. Anyone ever have your basement flooded? The house I grew up in, it was super old. Our basement would flood every time it stormed real bad. We'd be down with a shop vac, pumping water out. So the top of the water. Ooh, wait, I drew something wrong here. Anyone brain roll turned on? Clayton?
So it's trying to tell us that the entire basement is 3.4 meters in the ground?
The entire basement. So this is where if you read too quickly, and guys, that was a genuine mistake. That negative 3.4 is the bottom of the floor, right? And that's why this problem's tricky. You got to carefully read each piece it's telling you. So then the 2.2, okay, Clayton, go ahead and keep going, I guess.
Okay, so it says that there's 1 plus 1.2 meters.
Yeah, they give us that in the equation, but if I'm just reading the problem, I don't know if I know that yet.
So the top of the water, it says it's 2.2 meters below ground level.
Ooh, the top of the water is 2.2 below. So now we know this top of the water is at negative 2.2. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give you time to catch up. Because I don't give you time, how can I expect you to do it? All 4 feet on the floor. You can't sit over here, I can just change your seat. I wouldn't mind if you were leaning back if you could have been doing the classwork at the same time. But because you chose over and over again as I gently looked over here, now it gets awkward. Guys, this problem's tough and half of us still have this assignment to do. I don't know why you wouldn't choose to get some notes written down, because then you can stick them in your binder and come back to them later when you're looking at this assignment. So then that plus 1.2. Liam, you got any thoughts on what that plus 1.2 is? Josh, you got any thoughts?
Maybe the distance between the bottom of the basement floor and the top of the water.
Yeah, guys, if somebody just threw this at me and I didn't have a picture, I don't really know what that means. I drew it wrong the first time. The floor, the bottom of the floor is where we started. Then they tell us the level of the water. Well, the water's closer to 0 than the floor is, because 0 is our ground level. What is that plus 1.2? Well, that's this. So that plus 1.2 is how far away they are from each other. So the top of the water is 1.2 above ground level? A doesn't make any sense. Our water's in the basement. It's below ground level. The water's 1.2 meters deep? That sounds like that's probably what it is. The top of the water's 1.2 meters below ground level. No, they told us it's 2.2 below ground level. This would be that your water is 1.2 meters deep. Questions?
No.
What's up?
I assume Miss Peters wasn't as confident with my answers, so that's why I didn't really give you one.
A meter?
Questions? A meter's about 3 feet,
That's a
right?
lot.
I know. That's a lot of water.
And what if I have to flood like the entire neighborhood or something like that?
I mean, so one problem is like your basements normally have a drain in the bottom of it, but if the sewer system is full of water, your basement can't drain into the sewer because the sewer is full of water. Check this out here. Anyone want to? I don't know how. Anyone want to guess like how we can pronounce that name? I figured just chick, but all right. Either way, well, I mean, just take off the C and it's hike, right? Like go for a walk in the woods, it's hike. Chike like Mike, sure. Feet down. All right, chat with your neighbor. What do these numbers mean here? What could we fill in here with the warmed or cooled? Take a moment, read it, talk about it. Adding negative.
I don't know.
You don't know. That's a very give up attitude. Is there any risk to getting it wrong right here? Is there any risk to you getting this wrong? Just talk about it. Just try it. We all agree? Ooh, you already did this one. Elias, help me out with that first option here. So they give us this expression. Not quite an equation because it doesn't equal anything. We could probably figure out what it equals. But what do you think for that first drop down? The mixture, did it warm or cool by 20 degrees? Why do you think that? What sort of number is 20 up here? It's a negative, right? So when they then just talk about just by 20 degrees, well, what did it do? Jimmy, we're up here. It cooled. So then, Reese, what about the second drop down? Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. But guys, also, what degrees are we measuring in here? Celsius. 50 degrees Celsius is a lot. How much does it take to boil in Celsius? What is boiling in 100? That's what I'm asking.
An hour?
What is boiling? How many degrees boils water? 100. Celsius makes sense. How many degrees is freezing? 0. Guys, Celsius, 0, things freeze. 100, okay, things, I should be saying water. 0, water freezes. 100, water boils. It makes sense. What's freezing in Fahrenheit? 32. Why? What's boiling in Fahrenheit? 212. Again, why? This is why the rest of the world talks in Celsius. The rest of the world talks in Celsius. Try this. I should see eyes locked up here for a moment while you're reading, because the reading is the most important part. Can't read if you're talking. Can I help you, Jackson? What's this? You don't know. I don't understand. What do you think is funny if you don't know?
That's a key word right there that you found. That's good. So I think it's
Pointless. Does, I want you to chat with your partner about two things. Does the negative 41 mean, or 41 below, does that mean it's frozen? Like, what the heck does that mean? And then do we get, like, are you done cooking? Are you, like, is your meal ready? Chat with each other about what's going on in this problem.
Yeah.
We are not cooking. We're selling, bro.
So I didn't really tell you guys to, like, pick one of those drop down yet. Well, I guess there's only C options, so we can see all of them. But, like,
You're gonna get
I mean, does it even talk about the external?
Yeah, I know.
Well, then why are you talking about the external? It doesn't talk about it.
Friday.
I think you're bringing in parts that aren't part of the problem.
It's the Friday after next year.
Oh yeah, it's the last Friday. We're good.
And it's basically whole mob of people. That's why my parents. That's why
Okay.
my family.
When we pull it out and check it, is it done?
I don't think Black Friday is. I don't think Black Friday is gonna go crazy.
What do you think?
Yeah, no.
What should we do? We just pulled it out of the oven, found out what we
Oh
found out.
well,
What do we
once
do
it
now?
hits,
I'll put it back in.
I'm gonna go to my spot.
Lakin! Talk to me about that 41.
It's 41 degrees Celsius less than it needs to be.
So if we're thinking about like notating this, how would you notate that? Yeah, sometimes my highlighter has a mind of its own. Yeah, probably negative, right? Because it's below where we want it to be at. Guys, does that mean it's at negative 41? No. That means we're trying to get up to a certain temperature, and the distance to get there is 41 degrees. Be careful, because distance is positive, right? We talked last, distance is, but wherever we are right now, we need to go up 41 degrees to get our food to the cooked temperature. Guys, in Fahrenheit, that's about like 100 degrees worth of like Fahrenheit change. So then, Jimmy, what about the 6 degrees?
My brain stopped.
No, you just talk to me about this. Give your brain a second.
I just put it back in for the rest of the time.
Why?
So it's perfectly how it's told you to do it.
Why? Keep going.
So it gets warm.
Why?
So it's edible.
But what in the problem is telling you you need to put it back in?
It's 6 degrees below the temperature.
We have not reached our goal yet, and unless you want to get people sick, we should probably get our stuff cooked up to the temperature it's supposed to be. Who's ever used a food thermometer? Guys, food thermometers are brilliant because unless you're just going to, every time you check on the food, cut it open and look at it, and even then, like certain food, by the time it changes color, it's like overdone. So this is why people pay attention to food temperature. Like, is the chicken done? Is my hamburger done? They all have their own temperatures of what's done. So if that 6 degrees is still below, would that be a positive or a negative? A negative still. So which of these makes sense for us to say, we did this, we did that, we did that? Like, which of these makes sense and why? Owen, what are you thinking? Which of these makes sense to represent this situation?
I'd say probably B.
Why are you thinking that?
Because, like, if you're doing the negative 41,
The negative 41 was where we had at the beginning, right?
yeah,
Then what did we do?
we added the,
What did we do to the food?
we cooked it.
You put it in the oven. So we cooked it, and then what happened? We cooked. On the floor. If you can't sit there, I will move your seat. Being up against that wall does not mean that we're leaning against it the whole time.
We let it cool.
I don't think so. Did you read this problem?
Yeah, I kind of forgot. I know.
But it is a big brain.
We can wait, Owen. Like, take your time, read it again. I think some of you guys aren't reading enough. When you're doing your Khan Academy, you're going too fast. You're not reading the problems, and that's why you're getting stuff wrong. We had the temperature. We put it in the oven. Then we pulled it out and found out what?
It was still like 6 degrees below what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, so right now, our answer is we're still at negative 6. We're still lower than we should be. So yeah, I agree with you. B seems right. On to slightly newer stuff that you're going to see on like tonight's homework. So last night, the minimum temperature was negative 23 degrees Celsius. Now, guys, realize that's cold. But that's not like negative 23 Fahrenheit, although it might. There's conversions, right, that we can go back and forth. But this is like wintertime temperatures, right? Like it's below freezing because 0 for Celsius, 0 is freezing. So it's below freezing, but don't freak out that it's like, you know, ridiculously cold. We could figure out what this is in Fahrenheit.
0 Kelvin. 0 Kelvin.
That is when everything stops moving. That was 5 degrees Celsius warmer than the lowest temperature. Alien?
Yeah.
Alan.
That's what I thought it was.
Well, your brain switches a couple letters around.
That's what I thought it was.
Alien.
Alright, so chat with your neighbor. What does the negative 28 tell us in this situation? You might need to reread it again.
How do you pronounce that?
Alan. Yeah, we can just. Alan.
Alex.
There's no X.
Alien.
There's
Who
no.
cares?
There's no. Oh, there's an E. No X.
You said about midnight on purchase.
Because I was Mr. Jimmy. You said Alex.
I don't know why you're talking to me when you could be talking to Jim.
I don't say anything.
Good. The way you guys figured it out is talking through. Read it again if you need. What do you guys think? Okay, well then you two should be discussing it because you two both have different answers.
Okay, it's not
Depends why. Like explain why you think it is and why you think it is.
Celsius warmer than like what you're I think it's
Major, what's your thought? Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Just what's your thought? It asks what the negative 28 tell us. That's the temperature that dropped overnight. The problem does not say that. Liam, what are you thinking?
C.
Why?
Because the minimum temperature was negative 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius. That was 5 Celsius warmer than the lowest temperature.
Sorry, I just got really distracted, Liam. What now?
It's negative 23 degrees Celsius.
What was?
The minimum temperature last night.
Yeah, so not of the bag. That's last night. Break this apart. Was that temperature like acceptable for her sleeping bag or out of range for her sleeping bag? So take a moment, don't answer out loud, look at the problem. Quit staring at random stuff around the room. Was that temperature they told us in range or out of range?
Out of range.
Jackson, what are you thinking? In range or out of range? That is not what I'm asking. Saying what we just highlighted, the negative 23, was that in range or out of range? How do we know that? So the negative 23 is in range by 5 degrees. So she survived, right? And really those ranges are then you'll just be uncomfortable. It's not like you won't make it through the night. You have to get way far away from range. But so the question is, where is our range, or what do these numbers mean? Okay, so her negative 23, we know is in range, but by how much? Reese, by how much are we in range? By how much are we in range? Is what I'm asking. I know where you got 18. You did like 23 minus 5. I get that. Guys, this is why I figured we needed to slow down and like reset a little bit. If you read the problem, the information you need is in there. But some of you guys are just trying to do whatever you can with the numbers. So, like, realize we got like 2 or 3 more Khan Academy things that we're going to get through. Then we're switching over back to paper pencil things, so I can see your thinking, see what you're doing with the numbers. You can't just shove the numbers together and like get the feedback of is it right or wrong, and then restart the assignment. Like, that's the trap door some of you are falling into, and you're not actually thinking. You got to turn your brain back on. Read what's in front of you. That was 5 degrees warmer than the minimum temperature the bag is rated to. So if I then think backwards, what does that tell me? Where did the negative 28 come from, Elijah? Where did the negative 28 come from? Where did they get that from? You could draw that picture on your paper also, so when you see this problem on your homework, you got it. Careful, they added 5 with the 23, because if they go backwards and say, okay, what is the bottom of the range? Right? Where is the cutoff for that bag? Where's the bottom of the range? Negative 28. That's how they got the negative 28. That is the bottom of the acceptable range. Question. You gotta slow down and read the problem. So, it would be C here, right? So that means the range goes down to negative 28.
Yay.
Guys, if you mark A, it's just kind of silly. That means you're just totally guessing. And that's what I'm seeing as I look at some of these things. People are just guessing, because that wouldn't make any sense. That the temperature dropped 28 degrees. Nowhere does it say anything close to that. Let's try this one. Talking about cats at the shelter. Elias, when they say 12 fewer cats than their capacity, how could we kind of like set that up of like we have 12 less than we can hold? Is 12 fewer like probably going to be a negative or a positive? Because that's really what we're trying to do here. Is like, what are we going to do with these numbers? Probably a negative, right? Because we're under what we could be. So if you want to try to draw a picture for this, so if this is our cat max, we're like down here at negative 12. We can hold 12 more, right? We have 12 fewer than what we can hold. So this is like our quote unquote max, or our capacity. And that's what capacity means. But then they receive 18 stray cats. Now they're not going to say no, right? These cats need a place to be. But they might then go over capacity for a certain time. So I think I need to shuffle because we've made it through the deck. And if you didn't get called on, sorry, I dropped my cards, so that's what happened if you didn't get called on. So Owen, what would they receive 18 cats in? How would you like notate that?
I would say like negative 12 plus 18.
Yeah, because they receive 18. Now that's going to put them over capacity, right? Because if they were only 12 below capacity, and now they get 18, how much over capacity are they? Yeah, they're 6 over now, right? So if we think about this, there's 6 over capacity. So then which of the following equations matches how many we need to then get rid of? We got to adopt out these cats, right? And this one, like the Franklin County shelter, they'll have weekends where they're like, we're full. Somebody come take these dogs, right? And that's why we always adopt our dogs. So which of those situations, Jackson, what do you think? Which of those equations shows us how we can get back to capacity?
How many puppies do you have?
What do you think, Jackson? B. So they start with negative 12 and then they go down 18. So B says we start here and we go down by 18.
Oh wait, I read it wrong.
This is what I mean by we need to slow down and read. Can you stop? I'd much rather see a change in behavior than hear apologies. Sorry, what, Jackson? I got distracted.
I read it wrong. I thought it would. I thought B was C.
So you're saying C now? We start with negative 12 because we are 12 below how many we could have. They add 18 into our supply. Too many cats. And then we got to get rid of some to get back to the capacity that we can hold. Good job. All right, now unfortunately, this always kind of is a struggle in 1A because it takes you guys time to get down here. We're out at, no, we're not actually. I always get this wrong because the schedule I can't get used to. I got one more problem I really want to do. If we get through this with time left, we can check con in this class. Otherwise, we'll check it in block 3 and let you guys know. So, Aaliyah here, go ahead and try this. Chat it through with your partner. Aaliyah's playing a dice game. Go ahead and read it through, chat it through, talk with your partner. You could write it down on your paper for like, what would this look like as an expression or an equation? Bless you.
She is negative 19 points and a positive 7.
So we can probably write that down.
Just wanted to make sure you
some more of the house.
Once you get there, because if it ended with a positive, so to get back to 0, you have to add 19. So then you would add plus 19, and then you add 7 to get the 7. So since the positive 7 is not negative 7, so that would be
So that 7, is that the change? Or what is it? So Jimmy, what is the 7? So I mean, she had it. So how can we figure out the one between how she changed? Why would we be doing the
Minus
Chapel Lake? I'm gonna walk away from it. Chapel Lake. You guys might want to draw a picture. A picture might be really helpful here. Josh, what did Aaliyah start with?
Leo started with negative 19 points.
So if we're drawing a picture with like a 0 reference, Aaliyah started down here at negative 19. I guess maybe I shouldn't have an arrow. I should just like kind of have a point of like, that's where she started. She's starting in the negatives. Elijah, what's the 7 tell us? That's how many points she's going to end with. So we could even put another point here or something, 7 points. And that's positive, right? So I'm above the 0. And Elias, what's it asking us to figure out here? Do we think she scored positive or negative? Positive, because from negative 19 to positive 7, we had to go up. The question is by how many? Guys, think back to last week where we talked about absolute values. 0 can be your checkpoint. How far is it from negative 19 up to 0? 19, so she had to have added 19. And then how far up is it to get to the 7? Another 7. So how can we figure out how far she went in total?
19 plus 7.
Put them together! And there would be your total change in points. What do we got, like 2 minutes? We can probably do this. Yeah, you can start packing up. Alright, we can at least check where you guys are at. I don't know if we'll have time to check the other class, but... Hey, here's the deal. If we run out of time, I'm going to need to check your class again this afternoon, because I don't think I'm going to have enough time to do both classes right now, but we will find out. So you guys, compared to 3A, you were winning, right, as of last week. So let's check this. Let's see what's happening.
Oh, yes, like chips.
Was that literally everything? So guys, we checked on Friday. What this tells me is no one did anything over the weekend, pretty much. I know that we are not caught up on our homework. And I didn't update map because I told you guys, like, I wanted you to be able to go to the canteen. So, like, I didn't put last week's assignments in yet. Some of you are just operating off of, if it's not in map, I'm not worried about it. You need to be using your plan book, writing it at every class, and checking back in it, did I do my homework? What I'm scared about is some of you are about to have like 3 or 4 missings put in at the same time. It's not great, guys. Use your plan book. That's why we have it. That's where your class is at. Sorry, I'm a little scared Block 3 did work over the weekend, and they're going to come back and beat you guys.
Bye, Mr. Elton.
Goodbye, Owen. Have a great day.